Tensura What If? Silver Timeline by CBCTEBAS Chapter 49 Battle Analysis. Hey Lilith, waved Rimuru as he saw Lilith running over. The two insects on the capsules have come out and are currently kneeling in front of Rimuru. They now have a more humanoid form than their original insect forms. They evolved into the insectoid race. The one that is like what Zelenus was before being named. Ah! Lilith shouted as she stomped the ground seeing the two insectoids. I wanted to see them come out too. She ruffled her hair in irritation. Too late, Rimuru grinned at her. Just watch the recording some other time. Now back on topic. Rimuru looked at Diablo who came with Lilith. He assumed that Diablo was here to give his bizarre request for weather machines. He thought up an idea to measure the newly evolved insectors. Perfect timing Diablo, Rimuru said to Diablo who bowed. Can you try fighting them? He pointed at the two insectors still kneeling in front of Rimuru. The Aito froze for a bit hearing Rimuru's words, while Zeun was merely listening to every word that left Rimuru's mouth. Both of them Rimuru-sama? Diablo asked, assuming the plan was to measure their individual strength and capabilities. Fighting them individually would be the most optimal and efficient action. Of course, Diablo would not argue with whatever decision Rimuru came up with. Fight them one at a time. Aito will be first, then Zeun. Just test their strength, no need to take it seriously. Kufufufu understood Rimuru-sama. Diablo bowed. You too, let's go to the training ground. Zeun and Aito looked towards Rimuru who nodded. Both of them stood up and started following Diablo. Rimuru and the others followed after them. We'll start with you Aito. Diablo gestured for her to come to the middle of the training grounds where he was. Meanwhile, Zeun remains in the corners to watch with the others. Kufufufu, let's test your new body shall we? Diablo announced, to which Aito took as a sign to start. Aito flew to distance herself from Diablo. Since he has been training both her and Zeun for years, she knew that she won't be able to defeat him. The most she can do right now is showing what she can do in front of Rimuru, with the main goal of leaving a strong impression to her lord. Diablo simply watched Aito circle around her, as stated before by Rimuru. Taking the fight seriously was not the point of the fight, but to test out new abilities of the newly evolved subordinates of Rimuru. Poison Needle. Aito materializes several needles beside her which fired towards Diablo in high speed. The needles came from all directions of Diablo as Aito continues to circle around him. Diablo didn't need to block the needles as his body is made of extremely tough materials. However, he made simple barriers to cover his body and simple magic like Earth Wall and Water Sphere to block the attack. As expected by Diablo, both Earth Wall and Water Sphere could not resist the poison needles and were destroyed. In a similar manner, the barrier covering Diablo's body was also taken down by the needles. Any beings below Special A would have died from taking a direct hit from them. Kufufufu, impressive Aito, Diablo smiled as he clapped. The attack itself was a simple one, yet it packs this much punch. Let's test your agility. With a flick of his finger, Diablo activated several fireballs. Please take me seriously Diablo-sama, Aito stated as she saw the fireballs preparing to fire at her. Magic like that wouldn't work on me. Kufufufu, we'll see about that. Diablo fired at Aito who felt danger at his words. Following her instincts, she made sure to dodge each and every fireballs that came. However, a few managed to reach her by appearing on her blind spot. Wah! The fireballs exploded and Aito took a direct hit. She could be seen bruised up, with a still confused expression. Those flames, Zeun who was observing the fight muttered to himself. They seem familiar. Of course they are, those are my imitation of Scorch magic. Seriously, this Diablo actually managed to recreate my magic. Rimuru thought to himself as he also observed the fight with great interest. He looked beside him to see Lilith wearing her goggles. How is it? Do you see Aito? He asked. Lilith turned to Rimuru. Sorry. Yeah, I could barely see her. Even with this goggles that slow everything I see to hundreds of seconds. It was one of her creation after staying in Citadel. As being a foreigner and not affected by the laws of the cardinal world, she could not acquire skills or other benefits from the words of the world. Her situation is different from mine, the water sprites, and the Cherifes, as they have been affected by things from the cardinal world. Ain has her body recreated with the materials of the cardinal world and managed to receive a name from Lei. While the spirits have been contaminated by Rimuru's corrupt skill, turning them into a species of the cardinal world. You could argue insectors are also foreigner as well as Ivoraj. Just think of them as from the same universe as the cardinal world, even if it make no sense. Back to the fight, Aito continues to dodge Diablo's fireballs, as well as think up some way to counter-attack. She vibrates her wings as fast as she can, which is more than the speed of sound. Wing blades. The shock waves from this vibrations turned to sharp blades which she directed towards Diablo. Diablo stopped firing at her and either dodge or block the sharp blade attack coming from Aito. As he dodges the attacks, Aito dived down towards Diablo. With her claws from both her hands and feet, she dives down and scrape at Diablo before flying up and diving down again. She continues to do this in unison with her vibrating wings to try to create a blind spot to leave a good blow at Diablo. Kufufufu, with this much strength, I would have had a hard time if I wasn't named. Diablo smirked, enjoying the fight Aito is giving him, as well as being grateful to Rimuru for giving him a name. I accept the compliment, Diablo-sama, Aito said mid-fight as she tries tearing of Diablo's left arm. Though I am still quite new to my abilities. Nonsense, Kufufufu, with this much power, with newly acquired abilities, just goes to show how powerful you have become. Make sure to grow much stronger to be of use to Rimuru-sama. Diablo tried to capture Aito as she tries to attack at him. Aito evades Diablo's arm that tried to grasp her and flew up. Yes. Aito hover in one place and dove directly at Diablo, pointing her real stinger at Diablo to deal one last attack before the fight finishes. Queen's Needle. With the speed Aito was going, she rushes at Diablo and left a cloud of dust in the air. The ground below them cracked and created a small shockwave. I can't see, Lilith complained as she coughs through the cloud of dust. After several seconds the dust dissipates and showed the end result. With Diablo standing like always with great posture and with a smile on his face. Meanwhile Aito was on the ground with her right arm cut off from above her elbow. Wait, what happened? Lilith complained, looking at Rimuru. Before Aito could hit Diablo, Rimuru started. He materialized his metal claws and deflected the attack and cut of Aito's arm in the process of the deflection. Lilith looked back and saw that Diablo did have his gauntlet-like claws out. It was a nice finisher, Zeun, who remarked proudly, looking at his sister. If the opponent wasn't Diablo-sama, the attack would have been a hit. Kufufufu Testarossa would have managed to dodge it too. Diablo corrected Zeun as he walked towards them carrying Aito. She needs more training as she specializes more on speed. Hit-and-run tactics would be her best strategy, as well as aerial bombardment with her needles, Diablo explained. That is what we can assess for now. Let's see in the future if more abilities will sprout. Rimuru took Aito and laid her down. Rimuru started healing Aito with full potions. Now then, Diablo, confirming that Aito has been taken care of, looked towards Zeun. It should be your turn. Yes, Zeun stood forward and followed Diablo in the middle of the training ground. Rimuru watched them as they stared at each other. He created multiple layers of barriers surrounding the training ground, from simple physical barriers to shock-absorbing ones. He knows the difference in power between Aito and Zeun. It could be due to their different biological parent, or simply mere talent and potential. Whatever it was, Diablo would surely have to at least take Zeun half seriously. Lilith, what's up, Chief? Make sure to stay near me. Huh? Why is th? Lilith saw that Rimuru was looking at her with a serious expression. Got it. Between Zeun and Diablo. Kufufufu, from the training you would be the main fighter with Aito as support. I'm assuming it would be the same right now. Diablo brandished his claw gauntlet, materializing the other one, equipping both his hands. In terms of quality, the gauntlets should be legendary and weapon grade. And yet, that is correct. Diablo-sama, prepare yourself. I'll be taking this opportunity to further my strength to be of service to Rimuru-sama. Zeun took his stance, with both arms raised up to his chest and feet apart, preparing to move at any given time as soon as the go signal was given. Kufufufu, that is more like it, as expected of my disciple that I have personally taught. Diablo spread his arms wide with his claw gauntlets. Then, without anyone speaking or signaling, The fight has began and the two disappeared from where they stand. Flashes of light could be seen going around the training ground. From the untrained eye, the only things they would see are sparks that occasionally appear and the damages in the terrain that suddenly appears. Here, let me help you, Rimuru said, seeing that Lilith couldn't see what was going on. He activated thought communication and showed what Rimuru is currently seeing. Thanks, Chief. Diablo raised his right arm and attempted to slice Zegen's torso. To which, Zegen avoided by deflecting the attack by using the exoskeleton on his arm. He then raised his fist and slammed it towards Diablo, who dashed away from his former position, leaving a large crater left by Zegen's fist. Kufufufu, magnificent! Diablo exclaimed as he appeared behind Zegen. Zegen, sensing Diablo's claws aiming at his head, ducked down and with a twirl raised his leg and kicked behind him. Diablo, being near Zegen and not having enough time to move, would be heavily damaged if the attack makes contact. If it makes contact, napalm burst. Using the explosion, Diablo manages to not only escape his predicament but caught Zegen off guard that he landed a hit to his shoulder. Claw marks showed itself on Zegen's left shoulder. As expected of Diablo-sama, Zegen uttered in amazement. Zegen, taking a runner's stance, dashed towards Diablo almost instantaneously. Rushing in without stopping, Zegen manages to land a hit towards Diablo. Diablo flew several meters before landing on his feet, his arms blocking the part where Zegen would have hit him. Kufufufu, insectoid, truly or demon's natural enemy. Diablo showed his arms that showed injuries. Let's test out that body of yours more. Diablo disappeared, not as fast as what Zegen did but fast enough to lose him for a split second. And with that half a second he arrived in front of Zegen and pierced his exoskeleton chest with his claws. Zegen tried punching Diablo but he escaped just as quickly as he appeared. The chest part of Zegen has 5 puncture holes showing the place Diablo has injured him. Zegen felt pain from Diablo's attack just then, showing that Diablo imbued fighting spirit towards the claws. Kufufufu, you are very strong. With proper time and training I'll have a much harder time defeating you, Diablo stated as he appears in front of Zegen a few meters away. Then does Diablo-sama want to test an art I just came up with? Zegen asked as he positioned his left hand behind his back and right hand in front. Kufufufu, then let's see it, but first, Diablo flick his fingers and the entire surrounding turned black. Paradise time, try to survive this. Gah! Zegen looked around him as he couldn't find a way out of the darkness of the surrounding. He flew around not knowing which way is up, down, even left or right was not known. Kufufufu, to think that you could move so freely in here. Diablo's voice echoed from the surrounding darkness. Welcome to my world. Zegen continues to look around, finding the place where the voice could originate from. Right here, Diablo said as he appeared behind Zegen, although he was standing sideways from how Zegen was floating. Here it comes, Diablo-sama. A flash appeared from Zegen's palm. It was aimed at Diablo, who was watching with great interest. Dimensional beam. Diablo disappeared from where he was. No, he was never there in the first place. The Diablo that appeared was an illusion that he merely created to show to Zegen. While Zegen's attack did not hit Diablo, the attack managed to damage the world he was currently trapped in. Zegen noticed white cracks appearing from the direction of where the beam was fired at. Kufufufu, to manage to damage my illusionary world, you must have a really tough mental fortitude in dimensional attack. Diablo explained with a tinge of excitement in his voice. Kufufufu, then how about this then, end of the war. That's enough, Diablo. The darkness-covered world collapsed and Zegen was returned to the training ground with Rimuru standing near the two. My apologies, Rimuru-sama, I seem to have gotten too excited. Diablo quickly kneeled down towards Rimuru, not wanting to displeasure his lord. It's fine. I would have wanted to watch the end result as well. Rimuru reassures, Zegen, well done, that was a good fight. I'm confident that you could put a fight with your older brother if you master that body of yours. Of course, this body was given to me by Rimuru-sama. It is an unparalleled masterpiece that I would master for Rimuru-sama's sake. Zegen shouted with vigor as he heard Rimuru's praise. Rimuru nodded, good. Make sure to master it well.